Welcome back to Tech with Kaushik, the channel where we simplify AI concepts so anyone can actually use them with confidence. I'm Kaushik, and in this video, we're tackling a question almost nobody asks before they use AI. Should I even be using AI for this task at all? By the end of this video, you'll have a simple 3-question framework that tells you exactly when AI is safe to use, when it's dangerous, and when you should just do the work yourself. We call it the Jagged Mountain. And once you see it, you'll never look at AI the same way again. Let's get into it. Here's a paradox to start with. An AI takes on the International Mathematical Olympiad, one of the hardest math competitions on the planet, and wins gold. Superhuman performance. Problems that stump brilliant humans for hours, solved in seconds. Now watch the same AI try to operate a simple vending machine. It gets confused. It can't figure out which button to press. It fails at something a 6-year-old could do. Same technology, same model, completely different outcomes. How is that possible? Here's why this matters in the real world, not just as a curiosity. In 2024, a company lost $25 million in a matter of hours, not to hackers breaking through a firewall, but to a deepfake video call. Employees saw executives on a live-looking video call, authorizing a massive transfer. It looked real. It sounded real. It was completely fake. By the time anyone realized, the money was gone. The same category of technology that wins math gold medals can also manufacture a convincing lie that costs millions. That's the range we're dealing with. So how do you decide when AI is safe to trust? Most of us use one mental shortcut. Does this task seem hard or easy to me? If it looks hard, calculus, medical diagnosis, complex code, we assume AI needs help too. If it looks easy, telling time, common sense, pressing the right button, we assume AI will obviously get it right. Here's the problem. That intuition is almost completely useless. AI's difficulty landscape doesn't match human difficulty at all. The Olympiad was hard for humans and easy for AI. The vending machine was easy for humans and impossible for AI. Your gut feeling about difficulty will mislead you. Researcher Ethan Malik has a term for this mismatch, the Jagged Frontier. Picture a mountain range where the skyline isn't a smooth, predictable line. It's jagged. Impossibly tall peaks right next to sudden, deep chasms. And the whole range is covered in fog, so you can't tell which is which from a distance. That's not just a metaphor. That's literally the shape of AI's capability boundary. Some tasks it will crush effortlessly. Others, right next door, it will fail at completely. And most of the time, you cannot tell which is which just by looking at the task. Let's turn this mountain into a story you can actually use. Imagine you're a trail guide, and you have an AI scout working for you. Eager, fast, confident, always ready to run ahead and check the path. The real question this video answers is simple. When can you safely send the scout ahead alone? And when do you need to walk that trail yourself? That's the entire decision you make every time you consider using AI for something. Here's the danger with this scout. It never says, "I'm not sure." Watch it head down a trail that looks perfectly safe. It walks with total confidence the entire way down, right up until it tumbles off a hidden cliff. It didn't hesitate. It didn't flag uncertainty. It looked just as confident failing as it did succeeding. That's the core danger of AI. It doesn't sound less sure when it's about to be wrong. Confidence is not a signal of correctness. Now zoom out and look at the whole mountain range. Huge sections of it are covered in fog. Inside that fog, some paths lead safely to the summit. Others lead straight off a cliff. From where you're standing, you cannot tell which is which. That fog is the jagged frontier, the built-in unpredictability of where AI succeeds and where it fails. It's not a flaw you can patch. It's simply the nature of the terrain you're navigating every time you use this technology. Let's put a real number on that fog. In 2026, AI agents deployed in actual enterprise workflows, not experimental demos. Real production systems doing real work still fail on roughly 1 in 3 attempts at standard, structured tasks. 1 in 3. That's not a rare edge case you can ignore. That is the baseline. A third of the time, even on tasks the AI was built for, it doesn't deliver what it's supposed to. So the real question becomes, can your situation actually afford those odds? This brings us to the first cliff on our framework, verification. The scout comes back with a report, a recommendation, an answer. Now you have to check it, read through it, cross-reference the claims, confirm the logic holds up. Here's the catch. If verifying the AI's work takes as long as just doing the task yourself, what did you actually gain? You outsourced the work to AI, and then insourced the checking right back to yourself. You've added a middleman, not saved time. Sometimes verification isn't just slow, it's genuinely impossible without expert-level knowledge. Say the AI gives you a medical diagnosis. Verifying that isn't something you can just double-check. It requires actual clinical training, lab tests, a specialist's opinion. At that point, verifying the AI's answer costs about as much as just hiring the specialist in the first place. So Cliff 1 is this. If you can't verify the output cheaply and reliably, don't use the AI for that task. Before we go to Cliff 2, quick favor. If this framework is already changing how you think about AI, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me one task where you're not sure if you should trust AI. I'll read them. Now, Cliff 2, accountability. Something goes wrong. The guide turns to the scout and asks, "Why did you send me down that cliff?" The scout says, "I predicted it was safe." Fair enough, but who's actually responsible here? Who gets blamed? Who gets fired? Silence. That silence is the problem. Here's where this stops being theoretical. Picture a lawyer standing in front of a judge, trying to explain a decision that an AI system made. The judge doesn't care about model logs or algorithms. The judge asks one question: who approved this? You cannot say the AI did it as a legal or ethical defense. That's not an explanation. It's an admission that nobody was actually in charge. So Cliff 2, in plain terms, if you cannot name a specific human who owns this outcome, the AI should not be making that decision. Now here's a cliff most people never even see coming. Picture a worker using AI for the same routine task, day after day. The AI nails it every single time. Everything's fine. Except, something is quietly changing in the background, and it has nothing to do with the AI getting anything wrong. Weeks later, that same worker tries to do the task without AI, and they struggle. Steps that used to be automatic now feel foreign. Their own ability has quietly degraded, even though the AI never once failed them. This is the paradox. Successfully relying on AI can actually make you worse at the thing it's helping you with. The tool didn't fail. Your skill did, because you stopped using it. This isn't just a feeling, there's real research behind it. A study of 666 participants found a measurable negative relationship between heavy AI usage and critical thinking performance, with younger, more AI-dependent users scoring lower. Separate research shows that even when AI assistance works perfectly, it can measurably reduce persistence and hurt independent performance afterward. This is a documented, scientific effect, not speculation. Here's the psychological mechanism behind it. When AI output sounds fluent and confident, your brain's natural instinct to question and double-check quietly switches off. The smoother and more polished the answer sounds, the less likely you are to interrogate it. Researchers call this metacognitive laziness. Fluent-sounding output bypasses your critical thinking almost automatically, without you noticing it happening. So let's turn all of this into an actual usable framework. 3 simple rules, like a trail guide's rulebook. Rule 1. Accountability. Can you name a human owner for this outcome? If no, AI doesn't touch it. Rule 2. Verification. Can you verify the output without the cost exceeding the value of the task? If no, AI shouldn't touch it. Rule 3. Cognitive stakes. Will relying on AI here weaken your own ability to do this over time? If yes, use AI sparingly, and keep practicing the skill yourself. Let's test the framework on a real scenario. You're a hiring manager with 500 resumes, considering AI for a first-pass screen. Accountability. You make the final hiring call, so that's covered. Verification. You can read any resume yourself to double-check, so that's cheap and easy. Cognitive stakes. This is the caution flag. If AI screens every resume, you risk losing your own feel for spotting great candidates. The verdict. Use AI for the first pass, but you personally review everything. Don't let it replace your judgment. Second scenario. A patient walks in with unusual symptoms, and you're a doctor considering AI for diagnostic suggestions. Accountability. You own the diagnosis, no ambiguity there. Verification. possible through lab tests and specialist consults. But it isn't free. It costs real time and money. Cognitive stakes. This is the biggest concern. Leaning on AI every time can quietly erode your own diagnostic instincts. The verdict: use AI to brainstorm possibilities, never as your primary answer. Verify with real tests, and keep diagnosing without AI sometimes so your instincts stay sharp. Zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. MCP is about how AI connects to tools. RAG is about grounding AI in real knowledge. Agents are about autonomous decision-making. Vector databases, multi-agent coordination, hallucinations, context windows. All of these are important pieces of the technical picture. But none of them matter if you skip the one question this video is really about. Should a human be making this decision instead? That is the meta skill sitting on top of everything else. Knowing not just what AI can do, but when it should and should not be trusted to act. Here's your action for this week. Look at everywhere you're currently using AI, at work, at home, anywhere. For each one, ask the 3 questions. Can I name a human owner for this outcome? Can I verify the result without it costing more than it's worth? And am I keeping my own skill sharp or quietly handing it away? Wherever you feel unsure, that's exactly where you need to slow down. The real risk was never that AI would make a mistake. It's that you'd stop asking whether it should be making the decision at all. If this video helped you see AI more clearly, do me a favor. Hit like, subscribe to Tech with Kaushik so you don't miss what's next, and tell me in the comments which task you're auditing first. See you in the next one.